like to invite WSF board member Tony Caligiuri and Boone and Crockett official Buck Buckner, a friend to everybody, to come up and present the next award. Tony, Buck.
Thank you, Kevin. Welcome and thank you all for being here tonight. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Jack O'Connor Hunting Heritage and Education Center, and our hard-working Executive Director, Shirley Phillips, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight, it's my honor to be on stage with fellow Jack O'Connor board member, Buck Buckner, to present our first ever Jack O'Connor Memorial Writers Award. I'd like to recognize those directors that are here from the center, volunteering their time to man their O'Connor booth. So please just stand up quickly when I say your name. Mandy Miles, Gary Evers, Brett Stone, and Terry Thompson. So for you more mature sheep hunters or experienced, as I'd like to say, I'd hazard to guess that most of you got your interest in sheep hunting by reading about Jack O'Connor, or stories by Jack O'Connor on sheep hunting. I know he ignited the spark that gave me my desire to sheep hunt when I was a kid, and I'd stay up till, wee hours of the morning reading Outdoor Life, articles on sheep hunting that Jack wrote, and the sheep books that he wrote, and created all the dreams that I had, that I was blessed to be able to fulfill and go to all the places that a kid from Iowa never thought he could go, and live through the writings of Jack O'Connor. So, as a lot of you know, Jack O'Connor was the Dean of American Outdoor Writers, and I think we can safely say the father of modern North American sheep hunting as we know it today. The Jack O'Connor Center was founded in honor of Jack's memory, to preserve his history through saving his memorabilia, his big game trophies, his rifles, and all on display in Lewiston, Idaho. Buck Buckner is going to talk a little bit more about the center and how it was started and the origins in a second. But 2 years ago, we decided to develop a Writers Award in conjunction with the Wild Sheep Foundation to promote more writing and ethical writing on sheep hunting and sheep conservation. And so the winner of this contest, which tonight's the first ever, will go home with this beautiful bronze bust of Jack O'Connor. The only way to get this bust is by winning this award, which we'll do annually in conjunction with Wild Sheep each year. And so with that in mind, I'd just like to have Buck, who's been a mentor of mine for years and years and years, got me involved with Boone and Crockett and with Jack O'Connor Heritage Center, so I owe a lot to this man behind me here. And Jack knows the center and the history of Jack O'Connor, or Buck knows the history of the center and had a personal relationship with Jack O'Connor, so he knows it better than anyone. So Buck, would you come up and say a few words about the center and how it all got started?
Thank you, Tony. Well, I'm sure I'm not the only person in this room who daydreamed about someday hunting sheep. And this goes back before I was 10 years old. In fact, I became a voracious reader before I was 10 years old, and a lot of that was due to Jack O'Connor's writing, and one of my great uncles, who actually completed his teaching certificate at what was once called the Arizona College of Arizona State Teachers College. It's now known as Northern Arizona University. And at that time, Jack was a part-time English professor, and he was the part-time public relations manager for the college. Well, Jack told me a long time ago that he said the only problem with that job he said, was that both my bosses expected me to spend 3/4 of my time doing their work. Well, that was back during the Depression in the 30s, before I was born, and he wound up going to the University of Arizona at Tucson and became the first professor of journalism there. Back then, the pay during the Depression was not exactly on a grandiose scale. He got $2,400 a year, and then after the first year of this, they cut his pay by $100. So one thing about it was, since Jack was born on the Arizona and Sonora, Mexico border in 1902, he could take advantage of the time that he had off as a professor to hunt. And he killed his first ram in Sonora, Mexico in 1935. So that's a little of the history as far as Jack's concerned in sheep hunting, and sheep became his major love as far as big game's concerned. And that's where I did my first reading about sheep hunting. And at the time, there was no way that I could envision how I would become involved as a biologist and a natural resource manager in working with wild sheep and other game animals, as well as the protection of the range in the Southwest. I did that through work with the Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society, which I was railroaded into taking a position as a legislative chairman the second year it was in existence. So I served on that board and became an official measure for Boone and Crockett back in 1968. Anyway, Jack was always my main mentor. I really strongly supported all the things that he promoted in print, in the Stories in Outdoor Life, of which was fair chase hunting and sportsmanship. He also felt very strongly that when it came to game management, he thought the common people should leave that mostly up to the experts in that field, meaning the biologists and so on. So he was always a supporter of state wildlife management agencies in that regard. The idea for starting the Jack O'Connor Hunting Heritage and Education Center really started out with Jack leaving his trophy collection to the University of Idaho, with the provision that it would remain there as long as his collection was open to the public. Well, it was several years after Jack passed on. I took a friend up there, we flew up there and to show him Jack's collection, and there wasn't anybody there that could tell us which building it was in. Needless to say, that word got around, especially with my help and some others, and so the family, Jack's two daughters and his one surviving son at the time, they brought this up with the University of Idaho, and so complained about the fact that the collection was no longer open to the public, and they tried to start a chair in wildlife at the university, but that effort was a failure. But one thing that didn't fail was the interest in Jack O'Connor as a primary sheep hunter and a longtime promoter of that sport. So, another old friend of Jack's and I and others in the Lewiston and Clarkston, Idaho area, people involved with the Chambers of Commerce and so on, we promoted this idea of keeping, having a place for Jack's trophies to stay and could be visited and seen, and also as an educational tool to teach young people about wildlife conservation and sportsmanship and fair chase hunting. And so in line with that, we did form a board and everything. We used the building that had been previously the Visitor Information Center for the park there located on the Lewiston's Idaho side of the Snake River as a headquarters for this unit, and we dedicated this in 2006. The primary support for this has come from the generosity of a lot of local people there and businesses involved in hunting and firearms and in conservation. So from that point, we've continued on, and I'm happy to say that we're on pretty solid footing there. We've initiated an endowment program, and anybody that has an interest in checking into any of that, we have a booth over in the 1500 row here for more information on that. The center has been very fortunate in having continued interest. We have started a youth educational program there through the NRA Youth Hunter Education Program, and it continues there, the only one in the state of Idaho at this time. So, I think it's time to go on with this presentation for this ward, a continuation of Jack's interest in sheep, not just in the Southwest where he was raised and everything, but all over North America and the sheep hunting world, because he did do some sheep hunting in Asia. Tony?
You ready? Okay. So, without further ado, we'd like to announce the winner of this year, the inaugural Jack O'Connor Memorial Outdoor Writers Award, Angelo Bio, for an article he wrote on desert sheep hunting in Boone and Crockett's Fair Chase magazine. So, Angelo, congratulations.
In the 1970s, when Jack O'Connor believed he was witnessing the death of big game hunting era, he once said, "The only way the average hunter will experience the dangers of an Indian tiger hunt or the exhilaration of an African safari was through writings of men such as himself." And without exaggeration, each month when that magazine arrived, tens of thousands of his readers were transported to his latest adventure. In life, Jack O'Connor was an outdoorsman's compass. He was my virtual mentor, and in death, he became a legend. I am grateful to have the experience and to have expanded my personal campfire circle with new friends from the Jack O'Connor Center and all of you out there who know. I also like to thank Carly Slayer of the Fair Chase magazine, Clay Brewer for his Wild Sheep Foundation logistics help, David R.T., my outfitter, my sheep hunting and conservation role models from the Wild Sheep Foundation, and lastly, my spiritual hunting partner, my wife.